it's not, to me, it's not about the bunt. It's not about you getting the bunt down. It's not the angle of your feet, the early bounce. It's none of that. It's about you understanding that no matter what you do in life, you're part of a team. Whether you're your own boss, whether you own companies, nobody does anything alone, man. Everybody that does something has a support system or a team, whether it be your immediate family, your children, your whatever it is. Like,
hello, everybody, and welcome to Clearing the Bases, the podcast where we step up to the plate and dive deep into the world of youth baseball. I'm your host, Jimmy Filangieri. On this show, we discuss all things related to the preparation and development of youth baseball players, coaches, and yes, even parents. So sit back, settle in, and get ready to hear from some of the greatest baseball minds out there.
For me, man, I tell my guys, I say, that's what you want to display? I say, I thought you came out here to display your talent at its highest level. That means every day, every minute of the day. Like, I'm looking to show people I'm the fastest dude around here every time I put my cleats in the ground. I'm looking to show dudes I got the biggest arm every time I got to let it go. Display your talent to the people who watch it at the highest level and leave no doubt that you're the better one. You're the better guy on the field.
We're going to continue with the coaching staff of the 12U national team. And today we have another special guest, and it's Josh Jelli Ellison. And he is one of the coaches on the 12U national team with Coach Brian Madsen, who you've all heard from already, Wes Brooks, and Roger Wright. Currently, Coach Ellison, and I've been told that I'm supposed to call him Jelli. It's hard for me to do that, but Jelli is the assistant coach at Chaparral High School in Scottsdale, Arizona. He has been an assistant coach for the 18U national team training camp. He spent many years involved with USA Baseball in many different capacities. He was also selected in the 11th round of the 2001 MLB draft by the Seattle Mariners, and he played 5 years of professional baseball, including as high as the AAA level with the Mariners. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Glad to be here.
I got to tell you, this is special. When I spoke to, B-Mad, we talked about bringing on the whole staff, and I thought it was a great idea because what better way to show people the wealth of knowledge that's involved with a coaching staff like you guys have put together. Somebody like yourself that has played professional baseball as high as AAA, I'm sure you got a lot of stories. How'd you get involved with USA Baseball?
Believe it or not, it was very spontaneous and unpredictable at the time. I was working at another high school, and the head coach of that high school was a tower manager, Chuck Millett, and he called me up and told me he had lost a scorekeeper that morning, and he knew I was my own business owner for my company. Gave me a call, and he goes, "Hey, bud, if you could really bail me out, I appreciate it." I told him, no problem. I showed up, took the tablet, took a piece of paper, went out and started covering the game of the field that I was assigned to. And sitting next to me was Jay Johnson, and we both looking at the picture, and he goes, "Does that look like 93 to you?" I go, "Not really. It looks more like 88 or 89. And to me, not aware that the director of the West Champs, Russell, was standing behind me, who's in charge of bat now for the USA Baseball organization, goes up, gets a gun. It's 89. He asked me, "Jelli, you ever thought about scouting?" And I'm like, "No." I continue to keep score the game. He goes, "Well, if the opportunity presents itself, would you be open to it?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm asking you." And, fortunate, blessed with the opportunity to obviously wear the red, white, and blue. As I said in an article earlier this year, I'm an American, man, and I do anything for this country, just like our Skip, put his life on the line for us.
Yeah. What's amazing is, what you just explained is something that, and I'm sure you say it to your players too, you never know who's watching or who's listening.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I mean, that actually proved it right there.
Yeah. Absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah, I know. So you went on and you scouted for USA. Is that how that started?
Correct. I started my first week the next day for the 14U West Champs, which was actually the last week of the tournament. And from there, I had NTS opportunities a couple weeks later. I believe it was 19. I was named the national cross checker for the East and West team. The manager of that team was Troy Cameron. They went on to win a gold medal, and the guys that I worked with on in West Champs and East Champs helped me and to help Troy Cameron and that staff build a roster, go into training camp, and compete for a gold medal, and they won one that summer.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the point of you being asked to scout, I don't know if like people really understand how difficult it is to scout, because the difference between two players to the average person may look like they look like identical players. You have to be
Correct.
able to distinguish that difference, right?
100%. I mean, you go through different intangibles in terms of pitching, different intangibles in terms of infield, different viewpoints in terms of athleticism, whether you're talking about a middle infielder or outfielder or corner guy that could possibly play center field if need be. A defensive catcher versus an offensive catcher. Just the need of the roster as it boils down. And in our situation, we're talking about things that take place within a matter of weeks versus a development process over a year or two. So when you're picking a national team, you have to take into consideration from a pitching standpoint, guys that can pound the zone and throw strikes. You got to take into consideration the light bat and the great defender versus an offensive threat and an average defender. You got to take into consideration, if this is the gold medal game and this is our second or third catcher on the roster, maybe a utility guy, like from a different age group. Can this kid catch 100 miles per hour from an 18U kid? Or with a 12U kid, can this kid will this kid block a baseball, at 12U, 77, and a gold medal game to keep that runner from scoring to tie up a game? So there's a lot of different pieces that build a roster that people don't understand it. And the most important one, obviously, is how do you carry yourself away from the field?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is not a situation where you're looking at, like, let's say like a regular travel ball game where you have players that are real good, and then there are players that are average or below average players, because in those situations, it's easy to pick out the player. Okay. But what you're looking at is guys that are all extremely talented at the same level. So to be able to pick out the one that is going to be on that team is a really difficult job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny you say that, because I'm a little different than a lot of guys, and that's why it makes it a staff and not just one opinion, in my personal opinion. And for me, I played center field. I was a leadoff guy. So I'm always looking for the bull first. I'm looking for the guy that's going to grab the team by the horns and make sure we're all running in the same direction. That's the first thing from an offensive standpoint, from a position standpoint, that I look for as an evaluator when I'm looking at talent, building a roster. Who's the guy that's going to make sure these other 20 guys are where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there, they're standing right for the national anthem, guys are doing what they're supposed to be doing when they're supposed to be doing it. But most importantly, what are we doing as a collective group with the guy that's the bull?
Right.
And from there, like, all the pieces seem to come together. Obviously, the next and most important piece is the pitching, in my opinion. Then you got to have a battery, and then you go from there. But nothing is ever obvious. And even if it is, it still has to play out.
Yeah. Picking that kid, like you said, that's going to grab the bull by the horns, that's a rare person, is it, or is it not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just in my career with USA Baseball, I was fortunate and blessed with one of the first national teams I participated in. I got to witness Tamar Johnson grab the bull by the horns. The next group was probably 2 years ago, and in that group it was Grady Emerson, and he's on the 18U team right now. It was kind of a split between him and watching Coy James, also a North Carolina kid, local, very good talent. But you know it when you see it. And on this 18U team, in my opinion, it's probably Slater, the Arkansas kid, Burns. He's, what he displayed in 18U training camp was unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's always those intangibles, because I noticed that, like you said, that's the first thing that you look for is an intangible. It's not what kind of routes does he take to the ball, this, that, because the intangibles of the whole game. Am I wrong?
Correct. And everybody, as you said before, everybody can do that. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. So now we're looking for people to separate themselves individually, personally, be accountable for self and aware of their teammates, how they interact with their parents. It's a word that I learned last year helping the 12U that really helped me understand a little bit more of what I was trying to do as a coach to help staffs and even myself this year on this staff not miss when picking guys. And that word was uncommon. They used it a lot, uncommon. I remember leaving 12U training camp last year, which was my head coach at Chaparral. He was the skipper last year, and he said it, and that was probably the first time I heard him say that. And obviously, wearing our high school colors and wearing red, white, and blue with the 3 letters of the United States of America on your chest are completely different, and I remember it sticking with me as I went home, flying back here to Arizona, and I said to myself, that's probably the most unique way you can describe picking a national team for our country to compete for a gold medal. We're looking for uncommon people, as they said in that last year's session, to do uncommon things. Yeah.
And again, it really, really makes sense. But the other thing is with the 12U group, that's got to be really hard on you guys because, like you take an 18-year-old kid, well, he's kind of been through the ringer. He knows what's expected. He's been taught, hopefully, or how to act, I should say. 12-year-old kid is a little different.
Yeah, 100%. But it goes back to what I just said, being uncommon. When you have an uncommon 12-year-old, where a normal 12-year-old would probably be jumping on the bed, eating Skittles all night, this uncommon 12-year-old that understand, as I like to say, the assignment. What is the assignment? The assignment is it's going to be 18 of us or 20 of us. We're going over here to Honduras. We got 9 days to get in here, step on the mound, step on the plate as much as we can, score more runs than anybody else, win games, and get the hell out.
I love that. That's great. Yeah.
I told the group last year, I said, get in there, get what's ours, and get the hell out. Yeah.
I love that. I might have to steal that from you because I'm sure it'll come up where I'll be able to use it somewhere down the line.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Absolutely.
But yeah, because we know, in this world that we live in now, especially 12-year-old kids. So you get a 12-year-old kid that's really, really talented, okay? So wherever his hometown is, wherever he's playing, everybody's blowing smoke with this kid.
Absolutely.
Okay? So now he gets up to, getting through all of the trials and all of the tests that he has to get through to get to this 12U team. And everybody there is the same, like we talked about. And you know what? If you had everybody handing you everything on a silver platter all along the way, you might not be one of those guys that is going to be able to handle the assignment.
Absolutely. And we've all seen it. Me personally, I haven't seen it. I've heard it from guys that's been on staffs the next year or when the Olympics was over with. Hey, he did perform. He didn't perform. He got cold feet. He was nervous his first outing, but settled in. These are all common things, because the one thing we got to keep in mind is something I say to my own daughters is we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
How we respond from adversity, it doesn't always determine the character of the person as much as the altitude of the person.
Sure.
How quickly can you, as I say, grab the bull by the horns and grab the steering wheel and put the car back in between the two lanes.
Yeah.
Get it back in between the lines and let's stay on course, because it's not always going to be easy.
Yeah.
But if it was easy, everybody would do it, and it's not easy.
That's for sure. Yeah, like you say, the guy that can get on the mound and give up a 3-run homer and then take the ball back and go right after the next hitter. That's the guy that I want, the guy that's able to put that behind him and say, hey, look, it happened. It's over with. Let's not make it worse. Let's go get the next guy. And at 12, that's got to be hard for kids to understand that.
It is, but the reality of it is this. Most of them that's in this situation, they have a different kind of edge about them, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
They understand failure, but the competitive nature of a lot of these 12-year-olds is almost the competitive nature of a good elite high school player, or maybe some kids that were recruited as a freshman or sophomore before the new rule came into place where you can't sign them or talk to them until they're August or junior. And you can identify some of those 12-year-olds right away. Last year we had a kid, I remember seeing him and watching him pitch, and I ended up calling Seth Kenny over and Troy and B-Mad and Eric to see him, Julian. His name was Juju. He was a California kid. And the way he walked the guy, I remember after striking out 2 guys, and the way he pitched from the stretch told me that this kid not only had feel, but he held a runner so long that you could tell he had been taught or watched enough baseball to know that I'm going to dead it in his feet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make the hitter call time. And that way his runner can't run.
Yeah.
And to see that at 12 years old, and that was my first year with him, I was blown away.
Yeah, that's amazing.
This kid is not 12 years old. I mean, the hitter called time. He gets back in the rubber, and I remember him coming set, and he literally went UCL, and he stepped off just to see if the guy was going to run.
Yeah.
And now he's playing the cat and mouse game where they can do it at that age. Obviously, we can't see it anymore in the big leagues because we got this thing called the pitch clock, which is stupid, but that's a whole nother conversation.
I'm with you on that, but go ahead.
But it was pretty cool to see the level of baseball IQ that high at this age.
Oh, yeah, I could tell you. And I mean, you're a high school coach just like I am. And I can tell you, I don't see it. I don't see that kind of stuff with high school players. I mean, I barely get guys that understand you hit a ground ball to short, you're busting it down the line.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean.
But the one thing I will say is that, sometimes we gotta, as I say, we gotta remind guys, not of the assignment, but the opportunity that they're given. Sometimes people need to be reminded, in my opinion, that, maybe not on a day-to-day, but everybody needs to be reminded that the opportunity is yours. How you chase it, how you achieve it, how you obtain it is up to you. How soon, how late, how early, that's totally up to you. So I noticed in my high school days that sometimes you need to remind your guys that if you want to play at the next level, they play baseball every second of the game and every minute of practice. They don't just play when the lights come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I talk to my players about that all the time. Okay. That we cannot take a pitch off, period. We play this game pitch to pitch. Okay. And every pitch, you have to know what's going on, whether we're on offense or defense. You cannot take a pitch off. And that's the way you play the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I use it a lot in the cages with my hitters, and I tell them I'm a big guy when it comes to 2 strikes. About we got one in the chamber, make it count, and I call it don't waste reps. And then I'll tell the guys when we get down to the last one with 2 strikes, I tell them on the rep. On the rep. Don't let the rep on you. On the rep. And, some days it's a slider machine. Sometimes it's a curveball machine. And it's set for 2 strikes with 2 plays. And I'm trying to get them to own the rep. I'm looking for you to foul this bastard slider off just so you can get you another fastball. If you foul this off, he got to come back with heat because his pitching coach is scared at this point.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. But again, that's, that is the mental side of the game. Okay. Yes, it's a mechanical thing. Yes, we have a 2-strike approach and we make those mechanical adjustments in that case. But really what you just talked about is the mental side of the game, having an approach where you're not beating me. Okay. Like you said, I'm going to throw you that slider. I'm going to foul it off and let's go again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that has to be the mentality because for me, everybody likes to hit early in the count. For me, if you can't hit with 2 strikes, I don't want you in the lineup.
Yeah. Because
this is a negative game, and unfortunately, you're gonna get there faster than you can blink your eyes. Yeah. And you gotta have thick skin. You gotta bow your neck. You gotta, spread out, get off the knob. However you play the game, But to me, it boils down to what are you gonna do to not strike out? Contact, move the runner, whatever it is, put the ball in play, force them to make a play.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's too many things that they have to do when you put that ball in play to get you out. And, it's great for them if you can't hit with 2 strikes on you because nobody has to do anything. The pitcher's got to throw the ball and it's over, you know? So I agree with you. Another pet peeve with me is everybody swinging out of their shoes and hitting these towering pop-ups to the outfield. And a lot of kids look at it like, wow, I really hit that thing, this and I'm like, that's the easiest out in baseball. Okay. When you hit the ball like that, let's hit line drives in the gaps and whatever happens, happens. Don't give me a lazy pop-up because it's the easiest out in baseball.
Right. Yeah. That goes back to, for me, man, is, stay behind the ball, hit the top half of the ball until I tell you anything different. And that's the way we approach hitting the fastballs. You know what I mean? Stay behind it, stay on top of it. I'm a big believer in high tee every day.
Love it.
If you can teach your guys not to get beat across their chest, that means when he misses in the zone, we got a chance to kill him.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. Like, I'm a hard ground ball, hard line drive guy. If you can elevate it, God bless you. The only time I talk about getting the ball in the air, me personally, is with runners on second and third in the infield end.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
And we don't even talk about pitch. We just say we're looking for something elevated above the waist.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Now, I played baseball a real long time ago. Okay. So
stop it.
When I was a kid, okay, is all our coaches used to tell us, down and hard. They used to say that constantly. So we were looking at, finding holes in the infield. If the shortstop was maybe playing a little bit closer to second base, we would be trying to put the ball on the ground through that hole. It's a base hit. You tell that to people nowadays, they look at you like you're nuts.
Well, the reason I think is because a lot of people kind of like social media and all this other stuff. They've adapted to the world, and I'm a firm believer. My parents are old school. My dad's from Georgia, mom's from Chicago, and they taught me that because other people evolve doesn't mean you have to evolve with them. You evolve in a sense that's necessary and needed for you and your family, not to be like the rest of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in that. And I feel like in that sense that you're talking about, a lot of people don't want to hit the ball on the ground because, unfortunately, we watch a game every night that if you hit 30 bombs and you drive in 100, nobody looks at the batting average or what he does with 2 strikes or does he move runners or how many sacrifice flies he have. Kind of like how when we played, they don't look at those stats anymore. They care more about WAR and all this other stuff. And it's just like, oh, what the hell is WAR? Last time I checked OPS and, total bases going first or third scored runs,
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the long ball has taken over the game along with the launch angle. But like I say, it all depends on who you play with, who you coach with, because that's not the way we coach, over at Chaparral, and that's not the way I coach and the guys that I coach with. And for me, at the end of the day, if you can understand two things, you got to get to extension through the top of the ball versus the bottom of the ball. You got a chance to get a lot of barrels.
Yeah.
But you got to think extension through the top of the baseball out in front of the plate and not the middle or the bottom of the ball.
Yeah. I mean, you said the two things that is, I would say, the staple of my teaching of hitting is stay on top of the ball and stay behind the ball. That's it. Yeah. And your head can't move. You got to keep your head still, as possible. And I'm getting kids at the high school level that I literally have to train them to keep their eye on the ball. I don't know how they came up from, young players up to high school players. Nobody told them you can't hit when you're pulling your head. You can't see the ball. It's crazy.
Well, it's unfortunate, but like I say, that goes back to how the WAR has evolved and the teachers and the people they come in contact with, because I say this a lot, and fortunately my daughters are not listening to this right now, but they hear it too often here. And it was a saying I got from my father: if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you'll never do what you love.
I love it.
And it's real simple, and that's the way I look at being a baseball coach. If I can't get you to do what I'm asking you to do, you won't be able to do what you want to do, which will be in the lineup, be on the field, because you can't do the little things right. So I can't expect you to get in the game and do the things right in the bigger moment, surrounded by way more distractions and, things going on in the game. So if I can't get you to slow it down and process what I'm saying and use your eyes, slow the heart rate down, breathe, go down the foul pole line like Judge, or whatever kind of reset that you may have, beating the bat against the cleats, finding mom in the stands and getting that peace of mind before you get back in the batter's box for that 11, 12 seconds till you can connect with a barrel.
Yeah.
You can't play this game, unfortunately, because you don't have the ability to slow it down and really allow your eyes, your body to work in one piece. Because truth of the matter is, a lot of these kids' heads float, in my own personal opinion, is because they've been taught to launch. And once you get to a launch position, your hands are in between your index finger and your thumb, and you have no idea where the barrel is at that point.
Yeah. It's like, to me, I think with me, it has to go with just the fact that it's my age. When I was younger, when I played, we did not have that type of instruction. They told us, like I said, down and hard, stay on top of the ball. They used to tell us that all the time. So the point that I'm trying to make is, when I teach my players, I'm pretty much teaching them the simplest form of hitting. I don't want you to get elaborate. I want you to keep it simple. See the ball, hit it. That's really it. And whatever happens, happens. Yeah. But if you get up there, like you said, and you're trying to jack the ball, is all you're going to do is you're going to pop out and you're going to aggravate the crap out of me, So
Absolutely. I totally agree.
So it's it's a funny world we live in, and that's why I love talking to guys like you, because for me it's validation that what I'm doing is I'm doing things pretty much the way the guys who really know what they're doing do it, and it's validation.
Yeah.
So let's move on a little bit here. Talk to me a little bit about what you've been doing other than the scouting and being, on the coaching staff of the 12U national team. What else have you done for USA Baseball?
I've been a part of 15U training camp for about 4 or 5 years. I've been a part of ADP 13 and 14 for at least probably 2 years. And I've been a part of NTIS, selecting kids in different age groups, 14, 15, 13, just anything back in North Carolina and also West and East Chips, obviously, yeah.
So now the NTIS stuff that you were doing, that you were what, on like a task force?
Correct. I was on a task force, and we would go in. It would be 8 teams from 8 different regions, and we were able to select 12 kids to move on to the next year's process, whether it be ADP or if I was doing 14 to 15U trials, or if I was doing 16s to NTDP, National Team Development Program, that also played into the PDP League for the 18-year-olds for 18U trial.
Okay, yeah. I mean, again, it's a testament to your ability to be on that task force, because once again, it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, I know I scout for the Northeast NTIS, and
Okay.
just doing that to me is difficult. To
Absolutely.
pick players that I think can get through to get to carry is difficult. Then again, you take them, you're getting all of the better guys, and now you have to decide out of them, who the guys who can move on.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's when you kind of, there's times where I've been in rooms where, it's a lot more position players in arms. There's, more left-handed bats and right-handed bats, and unfortunately, you're trying to do your best job of, as I like to say, setting up the next manager, right? Who we may not even know who it is at the time, but you almost have to think in a sense of selfishly, like, hey, if I was a manager, how would I want this roster to be based off of what I'm looking at right here? Yeah. You could have guys that play, as I call it, 1990 style of baseball, like we were talking about, late 80s, hit and run, moving runners, that you actually have to play baseball, or we can play the early 2000 game, where it's a lot more, get on first, hit a line drive first or third, and then you get to today's, where it's, drop the ball as far as you can. If I hit a double, good. If I strike out, oh well, it's funny building these rosters, but you have to build them with the concept of, in my opinion, and this is just me, of if you can't catch the baseball and throw it, I don't care how good you hit, because we'll never see it. We got to get 3 outs first.
Yeah. I start every spring out right before tryouts, first day, all the kids show up, and I'll come out and I'll say, guys, listen to me. If you can't catch and you can't throw, you cannot play this game. Done.
Man, absolutely.
Yeah.
Drop the mic and walk off.
So I love what you just said, because and let me ask you this, because again, another pet peeve of mine. Are you looking for guys that can bunt?
Absolutely, because we had our conversation, short conversation prior to this. I was a leadoff guy, so like I told you, I'm always looking for that guy to grab the bull by the horns. And I hate to say it, most of the time, it's either your leadoff guy or it's your middle of the order guy. It's not a bottom of the order. It's one of your first 4 guys in the lineup that really controls your team. Every now and then, he may, in this day and age, he might be a two-way guy. He may be an arm and a big right field bat, batting third or fourth in your lineup. But you got to have a guy that can bunt top and bottom, just because how are you going to move runners? What are you going to do when the game's on the line and you need that bunt down?
Yeah.
I feel like bunting and base running is an everyday thing. If I'm ever a head coach, we're going to bunt and base run every day. Yeah. Because I'm not losing the game because we can't bunt, and I'm not losing the game because you can't take the inside corner turn on a base to make sure you can score from second on a base hit.
Yeah. So true. I mean, we do it where when we're having BP, there's a few guys before they get into the cage, they're bunting. That's what we do. That's where you're getting your bunting work. And it's funny because I get a lot of resistance in the beginning. And, I'll tell guys right off the bat, same thing I do about catching and throwing. If you can't bunt, you can't play for me. I don't care where you hit in the lineup. This is high school baseball. This is not the major leagues, okay? And I'll tell you a quick story, okay? this is I love to tell this story. So
I love it.
this is going back years ago. 16U team, I think I was coaching, was travel ball. Big right fielder, 6'2", 200 pounds, chiseled. He's in the cage and we're doing, bunting drills, and he's giving me a half-ass effort. So I could be pretty fiery. Okay.
There you go.
So I walked in and I lit him up and I just said, you play for me, you bunt. He goes, Coach, I'm a 4-5 hitter. He goes, I don't bunt. I said, you play for me, you bunt. And I was pissed, right? So whatever, we went through the whole thing. He's playing one of the games for his high school team. I don't know the exact situation. Runner on third, tie score, bottom of the 7th. He comes up and his coach gives him the suicide. Okay. And he gets the bunt down, executes it perfectly. I let it go for about maybe 2 hours before I picked up my phone and I said, hey, Mikey, I said, I thought you don't bunt.
I bet you got back a couple of emojis right now.
Yeah. He actually texted me back and said, I was dreading this. I knew you were. He said, I knew you were going to text me.
He goes, I could feel the earth shaking. Yeah. I love it, man. Yeah. That's what kids don't understand, and that's the beauty of, it's like being a parent to some children that's not yours. You're trying to put them, most coaches would say, in a situation to succeed. But the reality for me is you're trying to put them in a situation to be successful in the long run. And to me, it's not about the bunt. It's not about you getting the bunt down. It's not the angle of your feet, the early bounce. It's none of that. It's about you understanding that no matter what you do in life, you're part of a team. Whether you're your own boss, whether you own companies, nobody does anything alone, man. Right. Everybody that does something has a support system or a team, whether it be your immediate family, your children, your whatever it is. Like, those who understand life understand the value of relationships, friendships, and that this is how we accomplish things, and that's together. You know what I mean? Individually, we have our own responsibility, but collectively, we all live by somewhat of the same morals and values, and that's why we're friends.
It's and I say it all the time, and I'm sure you do too, because any coach that I know that's worth his weight in anything knows that everything that we do is all about relationships.
Absolutely. And I tell guys that because the reality of it is the relationships you make, and I say this to, friends that I have, business people that I deal with, it, to me in my life, is held true. Relationships bring you results. The results bring you whatever else that you're looking for, but without the relationships, you won't have the results, and the results won't bring you the next part of peace or whatever your heart desire.
Yeah. And I mean, the relationships to me are so important because, somewhere down the road, I may need to know something about outfield play. Okay.
Absolutely.
And I pick up my phone. Hey, Jelli, what do you think about this, that, or the other thing? How can I'm having a problem with this or whatever. You give me the information, right?
Yeah.
Now, not for me. All right. Yeah. Not only did I get better as a coach, but every single kid that I'm coaching now just got better because of you, because of the relationships that we have.
Yeah, 100%, and vice versa, man. Like I may come to a point where I may decide when my daughter's in college that, I want to be a head coach and really, lose some more hair on the top of my head and see if I can get a ball spot up there. Be a bald head guy with a ball spot, just dealing with the emails and the parents, I may want to try to, they say, hey, Jimmy, what does your first day of practice look like in the fall? And just gather some information from every coach, because that's the other thing parents and people don't understand is, like, baseball is different on all 4 corners of the world, or in the United States, I can say. The Midwest and the Northeast are kind of the same. It happens in the gym before it happens on the field. Yeah. Where the South, the West Coast, it's all outdoors.
Yeah.
Or the Northeast, the Northwest, I'm sorry, it could be, like the Northeast. They could be affected by some snow in Washington, Oregon, things like that. So to be able to teach the game, you got to be well-rounded, man. And you got to have an open mind and open ear and open heart to hearing and understanding things from a different angle that normally you may not agree with, but somebody may tell it to you in a different way that opens your eyes or your heart to understand it.
Yeah, yeah. I can tell you, and I've mentioned it's come up a lot in shows lately, but we don't have a baseball field at my high school. So
Really?
Yeah, we don't. So we have a beautiful football field, beautiful football complex. I practice on the football field. Okay, so again, you have to be creative. It's not your run-of-the-mill practice. Let's face it, because of my experience here in the Northeast, I could run a practice in a parking lot if I had to.
Right. People, man, like the ability to adapt in today's game of baseball is unparalleled. Like it's unparalleled. Like I can tell you right now as a kid, and I'm pretty sure you can understand this, and you may have your own stories. Like I grew up in South Florida. My parents had a carport. We didn't have a garage, and I used to take a tennis ball Monday through Friday and throw it up against the carport, and my mom would never pull the van in, and my dad would come home from work and be like, "Hey, I want the van in the carport so the sun won't break the paint on the roof of it." Nice Chevy Astro van. Well, he had no idea I was trying to get better, throwing my tennis ball up against it. My brother's in college, and I'm catching it with my glove. And we go to church on Sunday morning and come back, and he'd be like, "Does the carport wall look a little spotty, like brown, black spots?" And my mom be like, "No, let me go in here and get dinner." Well, he'd come in. He was a sheriff lieutenant and stuff, and he would fall asleep. As soon as he fall asleep, my mom would close the door and come out and be like, "Okay, go." I get the step ladder and I take my can of paint from Ace Hardware, $3, and start rolling. And one day we got caught, and my dad never said anything else about, the black spots, because he knew what I was doing, trying to make myself better.
Yeah.
I would put the ball on a freaking construction cone and hit it up against the thing when he wasn't home.
Yeah.
And my mom would tell me, stand all the way back and don't hit the window. I didn't have a sock net, you know what I mean? We had some ficus hedges. I hit it in there, and then I get scratched up trying to find the ball. So the ability to create your own environment, or to create an environment that's conducive to making your guys better. And this is what, unfortunately, this is what parents don't see us as coaches go through to make their kid better. When they're complaining about playing time or whatever it is, like everybody has a job to do, and a head coach's job is never done, him or his staff.
Yeah. I just love what you were saying about the carport, because I'm a firm believer that that's a big part of what's missing from our youth baseball players now. Because again, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, late 60s, 70s, and in my backyard was my neighbor's, wall of his house, which was a brick wall. And to your point, same thing that you were just talking about. Throwing a ball against that wall constantly. Had a strike zone on it. That's where I learned how to pitch. That is missing. These kids don't do it. Everything is so structured, and lessons and this and that. To me, it's a shame.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, unfortunately, I say this again, and my daughters all the time. People ask me, they're well behaved, they get stuff, and I tell them this, testament to me and their mom. But the reality of it is, I'll always tell them, if I can't make you think, I'm not making you a better person. And sometimes I will purposely send them something to read, and then later on, ask them about it. And whoever gets it right gets what I have in my pocket.
Yeah, that's great.
You know what I mean? Like it's like how much are you invested in your own self-awareness and development to not only be intelligent and to be a great human being, but to be able to help someone else that may be in need or may need help.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand. It's not about, your own self-awareness. It's about, hey, what are you doing to help others with whatever it is that you have that you may be of some help to them.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt about it. I mean, again, as coaches, that's something because, I think we touched on it a little earlier about so few players go on to play at very high levels. So our job is to teach them how to be good human beings. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, like when you find the ones that, in my own personal opinion from coaching, that the family structure from them from day one has been as solid as a rock. When you coach and you develop these kids, they develop and they mature a lot sooner and a lot earlier than their peers. And when they leave and go to college, when they come back, the conversations, the dialogue of the conversation, the view of their eye of baseball, their understanding of baseball has grown so tremendously. You feel like you're talking to another coach.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that great?
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful thing. And, the parents thank us and the kids come back and they say thank you. But the reality of it is, like I say, we're just there to keep the car in the middle of the road. They're the drivers.
Yeah.
I'm one of those type of guys that at the end of the day, like, I don't care who gets the credit. Let's just make sure the kid gets where he needs to go.
Yes.
I think that's the least of the words. Like, I'm not into all that. Like, at the end of the day, it's not about, hey, who got it? It's about, did the kid achieve at a high level? And if he did, when I see his college coach or, the guy who drafted him, he's going to come back to our campus and he's going to look for more guys just like him.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I love what you just said about their driving the car because it's so true. I don't know, to use another example, we put the ball on the tee. You got to hit it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We put it there for you. And
I call it self-awareness in practice. I always tell the first freshman group in the cages, I go, in order for you to be a good hitter, you got to understand that you're your own hitting coach. And they kind of look at me like I'm crazy. I go, me, Coach Gerlach, Nick, the rest of these guys around here, we're going to have conversations individually. We're going to do drills that we come up with. And coach is going to say, go see Jelli, go see Nick, But the reality of it is, what sticks to your mind? And I encourage them to have a notebook pad, write down things that make sense to them, because what we think stays in our mind doesn't always stay there.
It's true.
And the visual and the words are worth everything, and I tell them all the time, self-awareness is simple. And I use this analogy in practice. I go, hey, you're inside playing video games, MLB The Show, and your sister or your brother's out front riding their bike, and you hear tires squeaking. You're gonna go outside, or you're gonna continue to play the show.
That's great.
And every last one of them go, Coach, I'm gonna go outside. I say, so why would you let your teammate come out here with no belt on, with different color socks on, with the wrong hat on? There's a reason, Coach Gerlach writes down on the thing every day, this shirt, this hat, this belt, these shoes. We're all accountable for one another if we want to win.
Absolutely.
If he's doing the drill wrong and he's been told, hey, we got to focus on this, and it may be different from what everybody else is doing, which it should be because everyone's different. Why would you allow him to swing a way that's incorrect? Because at some point you're going to be standing on the base and you're going to want him to knock you in, but you're going to be looking at that same swing that you did not voice your opinion to remind him of what he should be doing.
God, I love that. That's fantastic. Again, it was something that, and I mentioned it, I don't remember if it was to Madsen or if it was to Westbrook.
Yeah.
But I learned from Chaffin that you have to empower. Like in my case, I only have me and my assistant coach. All right, sometimes it gets a little hard with just the two of us. And Chaffin
Yeah,
told me, well, how many seniors do you have? So the amount of seniors you have, that's how many assistant coaches you have.
absolutely.
To your point, what you just said.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm as you know, I'm an outfield coach and I'm a hitting guy, but I mean, I've been fortunate and blessed to have really good center fielders and tremendous outfielders. Probably 2 years ago, I had one of the best outfield groups I've had in my high school coaching career in my country. I had 3 center fielders, and every last one of them probably ran 6 sixes or below.
Wow.
Every last one of them. And it had Sean Estes' oldest son, Ethan Hott, and a kid named Brian Mings. He ended up going to Pepperdine, and Ethan Hotz at Stanford, and Estes just decided to go to school in Alabama. But these kids could turn their back and go get the baseball with the best of them.
That's great.
And it was not only a joy, but I was at peace because, to your point, the center fielder in the group before that was Enzo Apodaca, that's at Baylor. I had him take Ethan Hott and walk him around in the cages, and I told him, whatever you do, he does. So if I don't see you together like Siamese twins, me and you going to have a conversation. And it's just about getting guys to understand, as my father would say, what the table looks like when it's a family. And it's people in every seat, it's food being passed around, and there's conversation happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be that way. I agree with you 100%. It's going to be tough for me this coming year because I'll only have 2 seniors on the team this year. The rest will all be juniors and sophomores. But, the guys that are that'll be the juniors this coming year, well, they're going to be my leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. They can be corporals by the time they graduate.
That's right. And the good thing about it is a few of them have played for me when they were younger in travel baseball. So they already know me. They already know what I want, so maybe that'll be a little bit easier to, to do what you just said, where I can say, so-and-so, I want you to shadow him and do exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
Good. I love it.
Yeah.
I really love it.
And the relationships that come from it are priceless. I mean, these guys come home, especially those 2 center fielders, and I get, I got to get texts from them. Hey, Coach, we're here. We go to lunch. We hit. We do whatever. And they come down and to see both of them come walking into Chaparral High School together, it makes me a little choked up in the throat because these guys not only did, from a father standpoint, did they achieve their goal, their dream to play Division I baseball, but they're starters. Enzo was All-American. Ethan's starting center fielder right now at Stanford. But to see the relationship that they continue to grow lets me know that not only that we're teaching and we're pairing guys together the right way, but guys are understanding, as I say, the assignment in which they need to do their work in order to be successful and to continue to be successful at a very high level. Because for me, man, I tell my guys, I say, that's what you want to display? I say, I thought you came out here to display your talent at its highest level. That means every day, every minute of the day. Yeah. Like I'm looking to show people I'm the fastest dude around here every time I put my cleats in the ground. I'm looking to show dudes I got the biggest arm every time I got to let it go. Display your talent to the people who watch it at the highest level and leave no doubt that you're the better one. You're the better guy on the field.
That's it. Yeah. Like you said, no time off.
No.
That's it. No time off.
Yeah,
so one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, because I believe, and I mean, I actually live by this. I don't take I don't take myself too seriously. I mean, when I'm coaching, I'll have fun with the boys. Don't get me wrong. When I got to get to it, I get to it. But
absolutely.
But I don't take myself too seriously. Like, hey, I'm the big baseball coach, and we're going to do things.
Right.
No, let's have fun. What do you think about that?
I'm right there with you. I do believe that there's a time and a place for it, But my biggest thing with my guys all the time is, especially my outfield group, anybody that's ever been a part of it, whether it was trials, USA stuff, high school, they'll tell you that I'm a very personal person, and it's simple stuff like, hey, Jim, what you have for lunch today? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it good? Because it don't sound good. You know what I mean? And then I'll turn and look at one of my other outfielders, and he'll look at me and he'll start smiling. I go, what are you smiling at? You're still ugly.
Yes, that's me.
you know what I mean? And that's just the way I break the egg every day and let the yolk run however it wants. You know what I mean? And I do it because of two reasons. I played for guys, and you know what I mean, coming up, where it was my way or the highway. And I played for guys that understood the game and still got their point across without being that way.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, I believe in my heart, I gave the guy that was a better presenter of words a better effort than the guy that belittled, yelled, screamed. We could call it coaching loudly, but at the end of the day, when you embarrass your player in a situation in which he's already dealing with the element of the game, which is already built around failure. Now you got someone that I call is, by body language, they get small when you talk to them. You can just see their body shrinking.
Yeah.
But as you speak to them with conviction and facts about what they're doing versus what you need them to do, or how well of a job they're doing, or this is the direction we're going, you can see the shoulders stretch out, the chest, the chin get higher. You're building confidence, whether it be for your pitcher or your position player, or maybe just for the future. You know what I mean? And I'm about making sure that we're loose, but also ready to play at all times.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with you 100%. I always tell my players, let's have fun. I want you to be loose. I don't want you to be tight, going into a game. And even in practice, don't get me wrong. Like I said, there are times like if you give me an attitude when I tell you to do something, for some reason that sets me off. Okay. So,
Yeah.
so I'll get on a kid for that, it gives me an attitude, but okay, I'll give a few minutes and, let him call me a jackass, do whatever he wants. That's fine. I'll walk away. But then later I'll go over to him and I put my arm around him and just say to him, bud, I love you to death, but, I'm only trying to help you. So let's work together on this, da-da-da-da-da. But I love you, bud. Come on, let's go. And that's it. It's gone. You know what I mean? And you, like you
Absolutely.
said, you could see that he's no longer, like this. He's now, oh, okay, coach, is okay.
Absolutely. And the truth of the matter is this for me, like, I want my guys to want to play the game.
Yeah.
That's why we're all on the field, right? And in order to do that, I'm a firm believer in, a coach said this a while back. He goes, you can't discipline them unless you have taught them.
Yes.
If you taught them right from wrong and they did it wrong, that's the only time you can discipline them.
That's right. Right.
And that was something that I told my guys all the time. I say, man, I will never come out here and scream and yell at you because that ain't my thing. I say, but you and I both know you should have made the play. You knew where to go with the baseball, but you weren't thinking ahead, pre-pitch preparation.
Yeah.
If this ball's hitting me, where am I going with it?
Yeah.
Things like that you spoke about earlier. And it's just, and it goes back to guys not taking plays off, wanting to be a elite, player at the next level. Well, it starts right here at the high school level. It doesn't start when you get there because they're not going to recruit it because they don't see it.
Sure. Yeah. No, I agree with everything that you just said 100%. I usually, again, kid makes an error, kid strikes out, I pat him on the back, no big deal. Come on, let's move on. But it's like you said, it's the mental things that I'll make sure that, and going back to something else that you had just said, yes, I can't tell you how many times I've said to my guys, hey guys, that's on me. I didn't teach you that.
Absolutely.
That's on me. I
Absolutely.
didn't teach you guys yet. We'll go over it, and then when we do, then it's a different story. But right now, that's on me.
Yeah.
And we move forward.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I had a play like that maybe 2 years ago or a year ago, and it still haunts me to this day. And it was freaking during the quarterfinals in the state playoffs, and we had a guy on second and third, and it was one out. Fly ball hit down the line in the spring training complex, going over towards the rolling top, and I yelled at my guy, "Don't catch it! Don't catch it! Don't catch it!" Even though he could, because it was a tie ball game and we were going into the last 2 innings, and I didn't want to give them the lead. But because I had never went over that scenario, of course, he caught it, and he got it in, but we still gave up a run. And, I told him, I said, "Hey, man, that's my fault." I said, there was no way he could hear me. I'm waving my hands. I'm damn near on the field going crazy, looking like this crazy coach because I don't want to give up a run. And, but yeah, that play haunts me to this day, man. And it makes me mad because that was our special group, and we ended up losing in the quarterfinals to a team that we put in the losers bracket. And it is what it is, I believe in the good Lord, and if when He wants it to happen, He'll let it happen. But we all learned a valuable lesson that day, and that's something that I do not teach during the fall.
but that's something else too that I think is very, very important, because I'm sure that you said, hey, that's on me. I never went over it with you, da 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 da. I think it's
Absolutely.
really important that we let our players know that we fail too.
Absolutely. We're human. We all are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we make mistakes. It happens.
Every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the way we handle it is going to teach them how they should handle it. It's that simple.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I told them over and over again the next day, obviously the season was over. We lost 3-1. But I told them, I said, "Hey, man, that's on me." I say, unfortunately, this ended at my hands. They ended up scoring another run, making it 3-1 next inning. But I told them, I say, that's on me, and that's something that I got to live with. I said, I don't want you to think for 1 second that's on your shoulders. I said, I'm telling you right now, young man, that's on me.
Yeah.
I told the coaching staff, I told my head coach, I call him Skip. Anybody I work for, that's what I call him, because pro baseball manager and skipper.
Yeah.
So, and it was good to hear him say, "Hey, we're getting his aggressiveness, but the reality on it is, I'm the outfield coach. That's on me. We gotta talk about those plays. He's going away from the play. He's trying to stop his feet to throw even the third base at home. You don't have the arm strength or the momentum going towards the play to make the play.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's again, it goes back to the game on a whole. There's just so many things that we have to teach our players, and it takes time, and
Absolutely.
we're gonna miss things. It's gonna happen, but again, just as long as we learn from it as coaches, and I'm saying this out there because I want the youth coaches to understand that it's okay to make mistakes, but
Absolutely.
But you can't make the same mistake over and over and over. You have to learn from it and get better, and that's it.
Yeah. And you got in the part that you said before that I just said, I'm gonna reiterate it because we as people, and some of us as coaches, we're scared to take ownership. But I'm gonna tell you right now, coaches listening, I'm talking inwardly, outwardly. You gotta be able to admit when not only you did something incorrectly, or you missed a play, or put somebody in the wrong situation, or you call it. It's inevitable that it's going to happen. But the more you take ownership of it, the better response you get from your players and your team.
Yes.
Because anybody can see when their coach stands up for them, right?
Yeah.
But very few can understand when he walks up to his team and he takes his fingers and point them to his chest. Hey, that's on me.
Yeah.
That's on me. And that's a being accountable coach, but more than anything, that's being an honest coach.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, you know what, Jelli? We're over an hour already, and I can't thank you enough for coming on. This was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Jim, I appreciate the opportunity. I will look forward to, tuning into your podcast now. This is my first one, so you popped my cherry, so I appreciate it.
Well, look, you're going down to Honduras, what, another, it's almost 2 months away still, right?
Yeah.
September 20th.
Well, about a month away right now.
Oh,
a month in a couple of days, yeah.
Okay. So I wish you all the luck down there. And when I spoke to Brian, he said that what we're going to do is when you guys are down there, we're going to get you, Coach Madsen, Coach Brooks, and Coach Wright, and we're going to all come on together and do a little show from Honduras. I think that'll be pretty cool. See how the teams
that'll be real cool. Well, like I said, man, I definitely appreciate the opportunity. I hope you all enjoyed it, man. I had a blast, man.
I did too. So, yeah. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Again, I like I said, guys like you, I could talk to all night and just keep talking baseball. But my wife would probably stab me to death if I kept doing it. So.
Yeah, you're 3 hours ahead of me. You better go to bed. Yeah, otherwise, you may not get a cannoli this weekend.
That's great. So, thanks again, Jelli, and we'll stay in touch. And I hope to talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Well, that's 3 down and 1 to go. So we did Brian Madsen, we did Wes Brooks, we did Josh Jelli Ellison, and next up we'll have Roger Wright. I hope everybody understands now why I wanted to get all 4 of them on the show, because each one of them brings something a little different to the table. And, again, that's what builds a good coaching staff, when you have guys with different opinions and different views, and they share those views and they collaborate, and nothing but good things happen when you can get a bunch of people together that are at the top of their game and they can share those ideas. Well, it just makes everybody better, especially the players. So thanks everyone for listening. And, once again, follow us on X, follow us on Facebook, and go to the new website, thectbshow.net. Leave us a review. Sign up to be a guest on the show. There's a lot of things. There's blogs. I just started putting blogs out there. Again, a lot of good stuff. So stay tuned, everybody. We got a couple of more good episodes coming up. And like I always say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you on the next one.